Good evening, everybody. Good evening, and welcome to the AEAFilms channel. I hope you all and your families are doing well. To those watching live and those who will be watching later, thank you for tuning into the channel, where our focus is telling African stories to the mainstream. So, if you haven't already, please make sure you subscribe to the channel. We have a long playlist of documentaries from across Africa. We have Voodoo in Togo. We have the Dahomey Kingdom. We have the A Thousand Years to Timbuktu documentary. We also have a four-part documentary series called Kemet, A Journey Through the Black Land, which are all available on our channel. So those of you watching on TikTok, come to the YouTube channel and you can access all our content. As we say where I come from, no, which means welcome. So we're back again with another review discussing films and their relevance in the contemporary world. Again, I am joined by my good brother, Mr. Lionel Ache. Mr. Lionel Ache, you are welcome. How you doing, my brother? How's things?
I'm doing well, Nora. We're here. Thanks for introduction, and yeah, I'm keen to dive
Yeah.
into this film that I've watched 1,000 times. Oh, the first one, anyways. I
Oh,
watched
the
1,000 times.
first one, yeah. All right,
Yeah.
so tonight we're basically going to be discussing the sequel to the now classic film from 2000, a film which I would say cemented the status of Russell Crowe as, at least at the time, a box office star before the weight gain, severe weight gain. Uh, a film which, a film which reignited the career of Ridley Scott in a way, saw the rebirth of the swords and sandals epics. You know, we saw Troy, we saw
Yep.
300, we saw Prince of Persia, Kingdom of Heaven, all those movies that came after this one. So, of course, we're talking about the sequel to Gladiator, Gladiator 2 in this case. So, welcome to all my people on TikTok. Welcome to everybody on the YouTube channel. Lionel, so
Mm.
first things first, when did you see the film? How long ago? How many days ago?
So this is I watched it on Wednesday, I believe. Yeah, Wednesday evening. Yeah. So it's very fresh memory. I don't know, like a good thing or a bad thing for me, but it's very fresh.
Listen, I have a theory because I saw the film I think 2 weeks ago. I think
Yeah.
2 weeks ago I saw it. So the week after it opened in the UK,
Okay.
and I then tried to see it again today. Don't ask me how. And I must say the cinema experience was far more engaging than the
Yeah.
in-house flat
Right.
screen TV experience. So let's just jump straight into it because I think we don't want to keep this one going too long. So first things first, the plot. Lionel, do you want to just talk us through what the plot is about?
Yeah,
Specifically.
so it's essentially the sequel to Gladiator essentially happens 16 years after the death of Marcus Aurelius in the first
Yeah.
one, right? And so it just takes us to Lucius, right?
Mm.
The son of Lucilla, Aurelius, Marcus Aurelius' daughter, and he's been obviously shipped somewhere far up in Numidia, which is current day I think East Algeria. So he's yeah.
So Tunisia, Algeria, I suppose, right?
Algeria, yeah. So he's been shipped there. The son, Lucia's son, Lucius, and so he's there. He's there trying to make a living. He's there, kind of, made a name for himself to some degree in the army there. And then obviously we now see the Roman army coming in and doing what they do best, conquering lands and taking him as a slave, and then a potential gladiator, and then the story unfolds. We can go deeper, but essentially, the plot focuses on Lucius, right?
Hmm.
Lucida's son, and as we learn, Maximus's son too, right? But I'm not sure. In the first film, Odora, did it
No
not really
spoilers, by the
reveal?
way.
Did
No
it, did it
spoilers.
They already revealed that was his son, correct?
There
Am I,
was
am
an
I dreaming or something?
Yeah, I have to go back and watch it. There was always this implication that Maximus and Connie. What's the name of
Corey
the character?
Nelson. Corey
Connie
Nelson.
Nielsen. What's the character's name again?
I think it's is it
Lucilla.
Lucilla?
Lucilla.
Lucilla,
There
yeah.
was always this implication that the two of them had an affair. They share a
Right.
kiss in the first
You're
one.
right. You're
So
right.
the idea is there already. It's in part two that they expand on it and talk about her poor marriage, that she was married quite young,
Yeah.
and she always loved Maximus. So they expand on it, but they did imply it in part one.
You're
So
right.
yeah.
It was very subtle implication that there's something going on, and that maybe the son could have been his. So this kind of like
Yeah.
subtle kind of references about that. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
You're right. Yeah,
And
you're right.
what?
So yeah.
Yeah, carry on. Yeah.
So so the film just really focuses on Lucius and Lucia's son, and apparently Maximus's son, and taken as a slave to the Roman army, and trying to essentially avenge the death of his wife, who is also killed by General Acacius, the Roman army.
Yeah.
And so it just takes us through that whole dynamic of him going back to Rome and seeing his mother, and same path in a degree what his father did, fighting within the Colosseum and trying to kind of earn his freedom, so to speak. So it's a lot of some little twists. We can discuss the plot as we go forward, but essentially on a macro level, that's essentially just focusing on Lucius and his quest for revenge, and I guess how you said, emotional closure, maybe.
Yeah. And we will discuss some of that tonight, because there was your description makes it sound like it came off that way on screen. We will discuss that in a minute. And the films had received a lot of flack. So what I'd like to do, me personally, is just what I noticed from the very beginning is this almost mirror for mirror repetition with the old film, right? So the original one, or the first one, it revolves, like we said, around Maximus, Russell Crowe, who's a Roman general seeking revenge, just as you said, after being betrayed by Commodus, Joaquin Phoenix's character. Then he's stripped of the title in a kind of Ned Stark, kind of Robert Baratheon type of thing. Like he's supposed to be the heir, but he's stripped of it due to a betrayal from Commodus.
Yeah.
So obviously that one is all about loyalty, honor, being stripped of it, and then vengeance. Fast forward to the sequel now. Its focus is on Lucius, Paul Mescal's character. He's basically it's like a coming of age story for him. And his which eventually turns into some weird way, like this struggle for his legacy thing.
Yeah.
But he himself is also motivated by revenge.
Yep.
After also sort of being betrayed. But this one adds like a layer of political intrigue, and I suppose like the issues that you get, like generational issues living up to your father's expectations. But I must say it was sloppily done, and we'll go into that a bit more.
You mean the film in general, or
because again, just from a character point of view, they almost mirrored each character with a character from the previous film. So you take Caracala's character, is this kind of lunatic leader. Even the so-called twin brother, even that is not historically accurate, really. But the brother, this kind of lunatic emperor, is mirrored with Commodus, this crazy desire for blood character. You take Lucilla, basically plays.
But when's a lot of those Roman emperors crazy, like Commodus? I mean, some of them were though, right? Like
a few of them were. I mean, the Colosseum was like an upset, like how somebody would be obsessed over football today,
right?
But the kind of desire for blood all the time, this kind of I mean, this whole I'm gonna make my monkey the Senate president, or
right? Of course, yeah.
This that was pretty extreme. But what I'm getting at is more in terms of characters. Commodus, Joaquin Phoenix's character, is mirrored by Caracalla. Paul Mescal is motivated by the exact same thing Russell Crowe was motivated with, the
Mm-hmm.
death of his wife and avenging the death of his wife.
Sure.
Um, then you have these figures who are part of his stable, right? The gladiators, who, by the way, you never see them fight. The black guys in particular, and then you can, and they're almost mirrored with the Jimon Hunsu character. It's like an
Yeah.
embodiment. The two of them are embodied in the Jimon Hunsu character.
Yeah.
You have this whole dynamic of somebody loyal to in this case, Paul Mensa, the Numidian king, I suppose he was, or emperor.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Him dying is similar to Marcus Aurelius, Peter O'Toole's character dying. They literally just did a plot for plot thing and just said, okay, let's expand. For me, where I had a major concern was, bro, when I say to you that the first hour of this film, I was like, this is about to be a classic. I swear to God. Because they delved into uh, Roman political history. The character that the Caracalla character and the twin brother, I thought were monster characters, monsterly, amazingly well performed and executed. And then all of a sudden, I won't spoil what happened, but all of a sudden, something weird happens. Denzel Washington's character, this whole dynamic of somebody coming from the bottom, rising up to become a powerful man in Rome,
Mm-hmm.
all the way up to the side of the emperor. It was talking about the political intrigues of the story. Now, don't forget, I don't know if people know this, but I don't know if you're aware of this. There's a movie that was made in 1963, I think. I'm not sure. Called The Fall of the Roman Empire. It's got everybody in it. Big epic 3-hour movie. It's got which is really, if you watch the original Gladiator, that's what it's about. It's about Marcus Aurelius's death, how the various kingdoms, the various parts of Rome were at war, and caused this we're causing this, it was causing the whole of Rome to have like an internal crisis
Mm-hmm.
because of it. It's got like Omar Sharif is in it, Sophia Loren, like huge cast,
Christopher
huge,
Plummer.
huge,
Christopher Plummer and co,
Christopher
right?
Plummer as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
So that movie, I think this movie was going down in that direction because they were showing the instability in Rome, the homelessness, the need for regime change. Pedro Pascal's character, the general, coming back triumphant from war, tired of seeing war, but saying, okay, we need to get rid of the emperor as it stands because he's a lunatic. And we need to bring back that whole Marcus Aurelius theme of let's have peace in Rome.
Mm-hmm.
And they even use that whole thing of Pax Romana. Like, we don't want Roman peace anymore. We want just actual peace at the very beginning of the film. So the film was going down in this direction where it was like, wow, this is about to be epic. And they did this thing, which I've noticed with Ridley Scott in the last couple of weeks. I saw Napoleon last year. It's almost like, let's rush this ending.
Mm-hmm.
Let's hurry up and reach the ending. So it almost seems like the characters who were fully fleshed out were seeming like they were coming to a great crescendo. All of a sudden, all of a sudden, Paul Mescal is like in love with his mother again.
Yeah, exactly.
Now he's just suddenly accepted. Oh my
Yeah.
God, I am the son of Maximus.
Yeah, that is one thing I want to
Denzel, who had been grooming him all this time, becomes suddenly the bad guy.
Yeah.
Even Denzel's like number two, that guy that was training him for some reason becomes the bad guy too. The way Caracalla is just suddenly removed, I'm like, what? Like, where did all this come from? With Denzel pulling the strings, I just thought they had an opportunity here.
Yeah.
So I don't know what
No, I think the one key one was the Paul Mescal one. Like, all of a sudden, during the battle with General Cassius, when he fell in love with him, all of a sudden I was like, wait, how?
From nowhere.
Like, where did you bridge that gap between wanting to kill him, like literally throwing that, wanting to loving it? Like, how do we bridge that gap so quickly? I was like, what? I was like, okay, that was weird. So I agree with you. They jumped, literally jumped like five rows to reach that.
I mean, and
Yeah,
even the ending, without spoiling the ending. I
yeah.
mean, there are some things that happen in this. Like let's not destroy the ending for people, but the opening of this film, I mean, is second to none. Right? When you think about that epic battle, the naval battle, this invading Numidia, even like when you, even after he's captured, he's brought to Rome. The way they depicted Rome, the set design was amazing. And I was in Malta when they were shooting at the time. They were shooting the Malta scenes. I think the not Malta scenes. The stuff in Numidia was shot in Malta. And I just remember being in town, and they was like, "Oh, everything's going on here." And you could see like little glimpses of it on the sea.
Mm-hmm.
And my God, they nailed all these aspects of it. But again, I think they struck, like, for instance, and we'll come to this. Actually, you know what? Let's go to the next bit so that we don't over talk without actually dealing with things. So let's move on to the race and representation. But if we could also just touch on characters.
Mm-hmm.
So just for you,
Mm-hmm.
character wise,
Yeah.
who do you think, starting with Paul Mescal, who do you think, uh, obviously the reviews are incredible when it comes to Denzel Washington. Probably he's the only one who gets good reviews,
Mm-hmm.
so from what I've seen.
Yeah.
But just from your thoughts, what did you think of the characters and the performances in the film?
Uh, I felt that the script was. I think the script did a disservice to some actors.
Mm,
I think Paul Mescal is a great indie actor,
mm,
but I don't think he has that Russell Crowe movie star screen presence or magnetism within the screen. I don't think he has that. But at the same time, I also don't feel as if the script did him any favors. And I don't
mm,
think it gave him enough meat to really showcase his true range when it
mm,
comes to Paul Mescal. Um, and so yeah, so I wasn't really, like when you saw Russell Crowe in the first one, there's a kind of a, there's a raw energy, the raw kind of you felt from him coming across the screen. But Paul Mescal, I didn't really feel that at all. In the sequel, and for me, the one, I mean Denzel, for me, I've read reviews about people praising his role and saying it's
what did you think?
amazing.
What did you
I
think?
disagree 100%. I'm the total opposite of that. I have to say, in my opinion, I thought he played Denzel. Denzel played Denzel. The mannerisms,
Denzel always plays
I
Denzel.
know, but this one especially because it's like a Roman, so he just stood out even more, right? So he played Denzel. The mannerisms, expressions, the accents. Look, you don't have to do a British accent, right? But I think it should be at least neutral. Try at least mid-Atlantic, something different, right?
Is it mid-Atlantic?
Even what's his name, Pedro Pascal tried to make it like a neutral accent, something different. It felt so odd and so out of place. The accent, the mannerisms, and I just could not. He did, yeah. Denzel did not really blend into the film. Just you saw him, and it was Denzel, and I thought, no, I thought, my goodness, for me, all those reviews, I 100% disagree for
Mm,
100%.
mm,
And so yeah, I just felt as if for me, Denzel's role that took me off a bit,
yeah.
and the end scene, I won't spoil it, but the end scene was a bit unrealistic. The end scene by the river, but yeah, for me,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. Look, I think Pedro Pascal, uh, the dialogue failed him. For such a good actor, the dialogue absolutely failed him. I think Denzel, as bad as it came across, he was the guiding light in the film. The only person that felt, him and Caracalla for me, felt original. I don't think casting was the major problem. Because even back to my point, Paul Mescal, I would have forgiven. I forgave him the first hour. The first 5 minutes, I was like, this guy's just, because on the one hand, what they're trying to do is they're shifting the focus to a new generation,
uh-huh.
right? Trying to show a different perspective,
Sure.
moving away from like that whole Maximus Decimus Meridius arc, right?
Uh-huh.
but trying to stick to the theme of the original film, right? So they are trying to. So Ridley Scott was basically balancing the nostalgia with some type of originality, which is always going to be challenging. And I say for the first hour, he got it because it just felt like this movie has moved on from Maximus. It felt like it for the first hour. Like it just felt like it was going in a different direction. Then the pacing comes in because even the dialogue you could almost forgive, right? The motivation of the main character, the motivation of Denzel, the motivation of Pedro Pascal, the motivation of the Emperor is suddenly like railroaded because of Connie Nielsen, who, by the way, I think they should have killed in part one because I can't stand the woman. Lucilla should have been killed in part one because her involvement in this film, I think, is what confused everything. The film was going in a direction where you were seeing almost like the culminate. It's like you ever see the series, the original, not series original, but the over the last 10 years, the Planet of the Apes films. You've seen them, right? The Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, those ones.
Yeah,
You know the
yeah,
ones I'm talking.
yeah.
If you watch the way they build, right? One is separate from the other. You don't need to see the previous one to watch this one. You kind of just get that you're in a new world. And this film was going in that direction. I think them deliberately saying, let's, to the point where they're like, there was this shrine of Maximus from nowhere. This guy who's been motivated to go for revenge against Pedro Pascal, he's in a battle with Pedro Pascal, the thing that's been driving him from the beginning of the movie. And Pedro Pascal's like, oh, I love your mom. All of a sudden, he's like, okay, I'm not gonna kill this guy.
Yeah, yeah. That was an off. That was off putting. That
You
was
know,
really. Yeah, that was the kind of the where did he bridge that gap? Yeah, I agree with you.
like, how did we arrive in this place now where all
Exactly.
of a sudden
It was
everyone's in love with
a
each
big
other?
jump, massive
Yeah,
jump.
yeah. So for the characters, look, you cannot defeat the iconic performance of Russell Crowe. You cannot.
No, absolutely
You
not.
cannot defeat the iconic performance of Joaquin Phoenix.
Absolutely not.
But without Maximus, this story ultimately was built around this Lucilla character. And because she has this son, Lucius, them being not very good, Lucius is, I mean, Paul Mescal is not horrible, but both of them not being very good, these new characters suddenly take the lead.
Yeah.
But it's always harkening back to Maximus, the
Yeah.
influence of Maximus.
I mean, I think
It remains constant. If you ever want to watch a movie where they had the potential to completely move away from the original and make it even a possibly a better film, it was this one. But choosing to go back to choosing to keep Maximus as the main skeleton of this
but I
film,
mean, but
I
do
think
you
it's
but
what
at the same
ruined it.
time though, at the same time, because for them, that first one was such an immense success. I guess in their view, Ridley Scott and the producers, okay, let's piggyback off that
Understood, and
because
I know why they did it. I know
yeah,
why they did it.
yeah,
Yeah,
let's piggyback. Let's see if we can just like piggyback off that and and see if we can kind of like take some magic from that and put it into the new film, right? I know that it doesn't. It's would have preferred a kind of a clean break, so to speak, but that was your thinking, right?
I,
Yeah,
look, but look, if that is a central theme towards the end of the film, which is ultimately what they tried to do, because remember at the start of the movie there were little bits of they were the flashbacks, little
mm-hmm.
bits. It's just the way they felt we have to, because by the end of the movie, by the end of the I think the third act of this film, it was basically a homage to Maximus. It was basically, this is an homage to Maximus Decimus Meridius, whatever his name is. And for me, that is where I think they if they had given themselves an extra 30 minutes, maybe they could have fleshed it out in a way that made more sense. But Lano, I want to ask you quickly: the racial aspect of the film.
Mm-hmm.
You see, you see generals who are black. You
Yeah,
see, they have Asians,
yeah,
depicting the vast complexity of Rome and the
yeah.
Roman Empire itself. Because one thing people don't know, and I think they've even started changing this in curriculums over the last 10 years, is this revisionist history where it's like Rome actually wasn't racist like, say, America is, or
Absolutely not. Yeah,
Rome
absolutely.
wasn't racist. You had three African emperors of Rome, you had three African popes in Rome. Certainly, Rome, even when you know the story of when they invaded England, they came with African regiments. Even if, when you watch the fall of the Roman Empire in the 60s, they do this too.
Sure.
They show that how
Yeah, yeah,
diverse Rome is. The only problem is when you actually go to Rome, you don't see, when you watch movies in Rome, there's no evidence of any African
yeah.
people. So this film, I think, especially with obviously Denzel character is the main one,
Hmm.
but there are so many other subtle characters throughout the film. There's even, I think there were like two senators, two African senators in the film.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
don't
yeah.
say anything, but
Yeah,
they,
right. That's the thing with Rome, right? There's no the idea of what we know now as race was not did
yeah.
not exist back then, right? There, if you're a Roman citizen, you could actually accede to
Mhm.
powerful positions despite of your race, right?
Absolutely.
And so that is something that we see with that. Now, Denzel's character, though, there was a bit of uproar in in North Africa because they
Oh
said
yeah,
he was Berber, that he was not African, he was Berber, right? Berber
yeah.
tribe, and so there's a bit of an uproar there locally about Denzel being cast as this what's his name, Manicus, what was his name in the film? But
Macronus. But
Manicus,
you know
yeah,
what's interesting? Denzel's about to play. I think he's in Hannibal, which is the
yeah.
next film he's doing,
Oh,
of
okay,
Carthage.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And of course, Hannibal of Carthage, the debate around him has been going on
Right,
for centuries.
yeah.
Is he fully African?
Wait, is he playing Hannibal? Who's he playing?
I'm not sure if he's playing Hannibal
Okay,
because the film, they've been talking about this film for like 20 years.
yeah.
Him and Vin Diesel that were up there
Okay.
as the ones. So
Yeah.
I think he's too old, but I know he's a
Yeah. Oh,
prominent
yeah.
member
She's
of
too
the
old for
film.
that. Yeah. Yeah.
He's a
Yeah.
prominent member of the film, but the you see, even the concept of a Berber, you know, North Africa for the most part has always been an African place until the Arab conquest in the
Sure.
seventh century. It was more or less completely African. So from a point of view of history, if you say Berber, it's a language group rather than a race. There's
True.
no, if you see a Berber person today, they could be as dark as me, or they could be as light as, say, Pedro Pascal. He could be a Berber. So what I'm getting at is it's a language group, and this is how. And they did this, if you remember, with Gods and Kings, which was also Ridley Scott's Exodus, right? They were, oh my god, these people don't look Middle Eastern. I was like, Middle Eastern? They shouldn't look Middle Eastern because so-called Middle Eastern Arab people didn't come in until centuries late, maybe almost 1,000 years after this Exodus story is supposed to have taken place.
Yeah.
So if anything, they should have been black, which obviously, plug, I talk about in part one of my documentary, Kemet, Journey Through the Black Land. So yeah, I mean, you look at Septimus Severus, for example, is there. Um, uh, Caracalla, certainly. I was surprised they made him this really blonde guy. Caracalla is one of the ones born in North Africa, Numidia as well, right? In what would be
Uh-huh.
Algeria today.
Audio. Yeah.
And he's not even, they don't even get him right. But, the performance is good. But just touching on race a bit more, if you don't mind.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, so it was very interesting. Like you said, you don't they don't show this often, right? They don't show that diversity of the Roman the kind of Rome essentially.
Yeah.
And like I said, generals, there's those character generals within an army, within a senate.
Hmm.
And yeah, I think the one thing that for me was kind of looking into Rome and previous like years ago, kind of with history. I know this is your field, you're a historian,
Yeah.
but the one thing you kind of realize that for them it was not based on race. It
Yeah.
was more based on kind of like tribal differences, right? So Germanic tribes, and that's where there was kind of a tension between them. It was not race was not a factor of them kind of
Mm.
looking down on you or making but it was based on essentially tribal kind of differences. Like I said, Germanic tribes and other tribes, and that's where the Roman Empire kind of had that kind of tension with. So you know seeing I said and throughout history within the Roman Empire, the people black people there who were able to kind of make a name for themselves,
Mhm.
and attain powerful positions. But I mean, that's for you. Obviously, this is something that you dig deep into,
Yeah.
your documentaries. Like what's having watching the film and seeing all those black faces there, and combining that with obviously your kind of knowledge and your kind of your research into this field. Like what were your thoughts about seeing that, and what what are the truths, and did they in your opinion not include certain kind of
Yeah.
certain
Yeah.
things that you wanted to have seen when it comes to race factor within the Roman Empire at the time?
Look, there's definitely good question. There's definitely been an improvement in the way Hollywood depicts so-called Rome, Egypt. Been improving because if you watched the Napoleon film last year, uh, 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 Alexander Dumas's father is
Mm-hmm.
one of I think he's generals,
Yeah.
right? And he's a black. He's a black man,
Yes,
and
sir.
they make no bones about it in that film.
Yeah.
Um, so, and you look at things like Bridgerton, there's definitely like an improvement
Sure. Yeah, yeah, you're
in
right.
the history.
You're right. Yeah.
With Rome, they still not accepted because you have to think about it. Uh, in the Western world, the Western world's foundation, the Western world's foundation is on the existence of Rome and Greece. If you start tampering with the racial makeup of the societies, and certainly the antecedents of those societies, it's going to create a problem. It's too much for a Ridley Scott who was born in 1940s, 1930s to like wrap his head around. So he grew up watching all those old movies, Ten Commandments, those Cecil
Mm-hmm.
B. DeMille films. So he's
Mm-hmm.
like,
Mm-hmm.
he's not going to change it. And sadly, the Hollywood executives aren't like going to be
Sure.
that bothered.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to lie to you. In a similar way to you look at the Creed film, the Creed films, this whole revamping of a Rocky film, which if you watch Rocky 5, they were like, okay, we need to replace Rocky because he's too old. So let's bring Tommy Gunn. But it failed horribly. So 30 years later, whatever it was, let's make Rocky a black person. Gladiator could have done the exact same thing. Go watch Spartacus, right? The Spartacus film
Which
with
one? Kubrick?
the Kubrick's
Kubrick.
ones
Okay.
with Kirk Douglas.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look at the
Yeah.
Numidian in that film, right? That character, if you were going to make a second Spartacus, it would make sense to be him. In the same way that if you want to, if Hollywood was intentional, right? See what they're doing with Captain America. They're messing with things that they don't need to mess with. We don't need an African American Captain America. We don't. But certainly, when you're looking at that time period, if you want to be more culturally active, let's find the best fighters. Read what's this book called? I forget the name of the book where they're talking about Emperor Constantine. Uh, Emperor Constantine obviously came to Africa, and that's how we have this birth the so quote unquote Roman Catholic Church and the foundation of Constantinople in Turkey. So his influence was very African, right? And we're talking about the time period, maybe a few hundred years before this, but this is an opportunity where you're like, okay, Rome is conquering all of North Africa. Do something a bit more. But they had these black characters in the film.
Uh-huh.
The big, strong hench guy, the guy with the locks, who you were like, these guys are some of the most useless people in this film. You don't see them doing anything except when they are rowing the boats. You see them grinning when he grins. You see them smiling when he smiles. But for the most part, they do nothing in the entire film.
Mm.
I'm like, why? So I think they had an opportunity to be able to build on race a bit more. But again, you don't expect Hollywood.
No, of
You
course
don't
not.
expect
Yeah, of
Hollywood
course not.
to
I
do
mean,
it the right
I
way.
wasn't expecting that, to be honest with you.
You know.
So yeah.
So let's move on to the next bit, which I think is quite an important thing. Is really the challenge of doing a sequel, any sequel,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Um, and you see, I have a couple of sequels there:
Right.
Batman and Robin,
Yeah.
Speed 2, Ocean's 12, Scream 4, RoboCop 3, the numerous Superman 4, which frankly is the first bad one in the. They were all pretty good. One, two, three were pretty good. Matrix maybe. Uh,
There's Jaws 2. There's
Jaws
Jaws 2.
2. Jaws 2, yeah. American Psycho 2. I mean, there's a long list of
A
films.
massive list of
Avatar
films.
2. I know it made money, but
A massive list. It's
there's a
huge.
challenge that comes with doing sequels.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if you wanted to touch on that.
Tron Legacy.
Oh my
Tron
god.
Legacy with Jeff Bridges coming back.
Oh
So you're
my god.
saying touch
Just
on sequels.
yeah,
Yeah.
the challenge of getting a sequel right, especially with the time
Yeah.
the time that has passed. Yeah.
Yeah. First of all, back to Ridley Scott, and you said I feel as if he's Russian. I feel as if I mean, look, he's 86, so we have to give him credit in some parts for still directing.
Yeah.
But I feel as if now these last several years, he's rushing his films because for him, I'm sure, like in his mind, he's like, okay, look, let me try and bang out as many as possible before I bounce from this
Yeah.
realm we're in,
Yeah.
right? So it's rushed. So, like I said, the editing, the jumps in storylines were just like abrupt. Like, okay, what's going on here? It was like, okay. So I think he's Russian, but and that's why his films sometimes feel disjointed and they feel too rushed, like you said.
Mhm.
But I think sequels, brother, it's hard to nail. I mean, you're the filmmaker here, so but sequels are hard to nail. I mean, if you do like a masterpiece in the first one, to
Yeah.
nail the second one, it's always been a challenge. I mean, I'm trying to think of successful sequels. I mean,
There's some good ones.
like which ones?
I'll give you one actually, and I'll explain why. So Die Hard 1, Die Hard 2, but Die
Okay,
Hard 3.
okay, yeah,
Die Hard 3 was made like maybe like almost a decade after the second one.
yeah,
So there was a big time that passed, but it was a better the one with Sam Jackson. But look
yeah.
at what they did with that film. I don't know if you know the story behind how that movie was made. It was a separate script. It was a separate movie.
You mean Die Hard 2?
Die Hard with a Vengeance was a separate movie. No, Die
Okay,
Hard 2 was what it was, but
okay,
they couldn't go on making Die Hard 3 in the same way. He's just
right.
this time he's out of space and he's the only
Mhm.
one. This time they were like, okay, he needs a sidekick. In this case, Sam Jackson. But that was a separate script entirely
I see.
that they were developing for a separate person. And all of it, and then they thought, it's in New York, drunken cop, this black person, this feeding on this political, racial element that was going on. Let's just get it right.
Mhm.
And I think the problem with Gladiator 2 is that not only did they have this opportunity to go in a completely different direction, but because, as you said, he's 86, maybe under pressure from the producers, he decides now, let's respect the original film
Uh-huh.
and just expand the narrative of the film.
Yeah.
But because there were some scenes in the movie that just felt like homages, like I said, to Gladiator, like callbacks to Gladiator.
Exactly.
The dream sequences, for example,
That's right.
they were just a little bit more graphic in this one.
Yeah.
This whole constantly remember this dreaming of his love. It was almost exactly like the original. So it's not allowed. He didn't allow this movie to escape that world, right? Which was okay at the beginning, but towards the end, I don't know if you remember the last shot, the very last shot of the film, where you see the fingers through the weeds. As he puts his fingers in the.
You mean the first one? The first one.
No,
the
in
one.
this one, right at the end of the movie, you just see.
Oh yeah, sure.
And I
Yeah.
wasn't even sure if that was that was a clip from the first film, or it was a new clip that they shot. Because I was just like, I'm seeing too many flashbacks for a movie of this size.
But it's rushed. It's rushed. What happened. But it's rushed. That's why it's rushed.
I think the ending was rushed. I think the ending was.
It was rushed. It was rushed. Yeah.
Because honestly, the movie didn't need any flashbacks to the original.
Yeah, I agree. But it was just trying to rush it and end it.
And I think that's what overshadows the sequels.
But by the way, apparently it was shot in like how many days?
50. I think 50.
like extremely short period for a film.
50 is less than 2
months.
months.
Yeah, it's like that's size. Crazy. I mean, it's nuts. So again, that just.
But you see, Lionel. The thing is, it's on the page. It's on the page. From what I understand, they got involved in the strike, and I think because of the strike, they had to push the start date back a few times.
Okay.
And I'm just wondering whether or not they were like, okay, you've got this slot, it has to come out by so date.
Mm-hmm.
So they
Okay.
were like, let's just take whatever
Okay.
script it got.
Okay.
That's what I think, because it's what's on the page that's my problem. It's not necessarily
Okay.
the execution.
Okay.
It's what's on the page, because
Okay.
that third act is just the most bizarre. It's the most bizarre.
Yeah, but would you say also what's on the page is also because they rushed it essentially? They rushed
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
they rushed to get the film out.
Yeah, they
I'm
rushed to
just
get it
like,
done. And
how does that film get greenlit with that ending? I'm just wondering, because it was a similar. I had a similar problem a year ago. Same exact problem a year ago. I just didn't do a review about Napoleon.
yeah, I mean it's the same
I
guy,
was like,
same director, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
same exact direction. I was like,
it's rushed. It's
really,
rushed.
like you could have gone. This could have been super epic,
Yeah, it's rushed.
and then
It's
you
rushed.
speed it up towards the end. So I think maybe, like, yeah, maybe it's a
It's
Ridley Scott
rushed. It's
thing.
rushed.
The Ridley
I
Scott
think
thing.
the studios are like, okay, look, it might not be the best ending, but we think we will do well enough in the box office, right? We have Denzel, we
Yeah,
have some actors. We'll do well
Pedro
enough.
Pascal. Yeah.
We have the Gladiator name. Just that name alone will carry us a long way. So we're fine. I'm
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. So
Speaking of which, I wanted to also just touch on the soundtrack. You see, the soundtrack for me is one of the reasons why I
oh
think
man,
this film, um, you see, it never left the shadow of the original, right? Because you have this till today. You look
yeah.
at the "Now We Are Free"
Sound
track,
song. Oh my
honor
god.
him, Hans Zimmer's songs, right?
Yeah. Ooh, sick.
You look at those ones, and you're just thinking to yourself,
Yeah.
this adds a supreme layer of depth to the story that will outlive this film.
I tell
And
you.
I don't know. I don't know whether this was a case of they got it wrong,
Hmm.
or they were just, because in many ways the film, like you said, it just feels rushed in so many ways.
Yeah.
If Hans Zimmer is not available, don't bloody do the movie, because that's the one person, that's the one like spine that you need.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think I think you can move the story in a completely different direction, but the music for a film like this, when you see the Paul Mescal guy saying "strength and honor," it just seems so put on, and
Mm.
the music underneath it just
Yeah.
seems, it's so forgettable.
To be
You know,
fair though, yeah, right. You can't really you have needed Hans Zimmer to repeat the magic from the first one, right? You required him to come back there because the first film, the soundtrack, like Now We Are Free. I mean, that's iconic,
oh,
iconic soundtrack. I mean, it just the emotion it gives it puts within you is just it's crazy. So you're right. I actually don't know who
it was a
composed this
legend. It was a
part two.
legendary soundtrack, and I
Yeah,
think,
iconic. I'm actually
yeah,
not sure who composed this part two soundtrack, but yeah, who knows? But yeah, it's just yeah. I mean,
and the music didn't evoke the same
no, 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 no,
like emotions that you get from the first
not
one.
at all, not at
So
all.
so then when the characters are a little bit weaker, and then the plot line just seems to
Yeah,
just go in this direction that's a bit weird.
yeah.
Then you're like, I mean, I just thought this movie had so much. That first hour for me, I remember, because I went to the cinema with my wife, and we like ordered food. You order this food, and sometimes they come and deliver it to you. They had to come, and I was like, this movie's probably gonna be whack. 10 minutes in, I'll go check on the food. My wife was like, go get the food. I was like, I can't. So she just went and got it. So I was glued to the screen, and then all of a sudden, I mean,
So,
I remember
so where was the cutoff for you? Where was the cutoff?
it was when Paul Mescal was visited by the mother
In the jail.
in
Okay,
jail,
okay, cool.
and that whole interaction of anger
Ah, okay.
came out. Just after that is when I was like, where are we going with this? And then all of a sudden, Denzel holds the dagger to, I won't say what happens.
Yeah.
I was like, even Pedro Pascal being killed in the way he was, sorry, spoiler alert, being killed, it was just like, this is the whole motivation for the entire film. You've
Yeah.
met him now, and I love your mom. Okay, I won't kill you. It was just like, come on, this is amateur.
Yeah, it was very weird.
Do you remember we saw Red Tails years ago? Do you remember Red
Yeah,
Tails?
yeah, 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 I remember, yeah. I remember.
I couldn't believe. I remember Red Tails was one of those movies. It's like I couldn't believe how bad the film was.
Was that Spike
I
Lee? Yeah.
couldn't. No, that was
No, no, who's that? No,
that's
that's
George
Spike.
Lucas. George
Okay,
Lucas.
yeah, yeah, it's him. Yeah,
I
exactly.
was like, I couldn't believe how bad the movie was because I was
Yeah,
just like, how on earth do you have all these airplanes, these
yeah,
machines, and everything,
yeah,
these like actors, and then from nowhere, you have the worst editing, the worst storyline. I mean, it was a surprise. But anyway, the reason why I brought that up was just to say that when you have all, because this film is incredible when it comes to the battle scenes, the scenes in the Colosseum, the very epicness of Rome. The set design is on point. Set designer needs an Oscar. The even to a point, the editing needs an Oscar. You cannot let it down with a poor script. We keep coming back to script. We cannot let it down with a poor script. So for me,
Well,
at that point, when the mom came and left, I was just like, this movie is just
but for me, I think the set design was good, but I wasn't a big fan of some of the CGI.
yeah,
Personally,
the sharks and stuff,
not
right?
only them that even the creatures at the start, like what are
Those
those?
baboons. I'm like,
Are those
where did they
baboons
come
or
from?
or are they what are they? It was just like what the hell is this, man?
Yeah, that was a bit weird.
Yeah.
That was
So
even the rhino, the
yeah,
acrobatic
some
rhino. I
of
was
the
like,
CGI was a bit funny. It was a bit funny, but all in all, I agree with set design, the kind of the way they kind of presented Rome in its splendor when
yeah.
generals kind of marching post victory into Rome, and that was great.
Oh,
It,
that was
it reminds you of like Cleopatra the film,
reminds
right?
you of like Covadis and all these old Roman movies about Rome.
Cleopatra,
Like,
when what's his
oh yeah,
name?
Mark
Um,
Antony is coming
Mark
back in.
Anthony, yeah, is walking. Richard Burton is walking.
Or even in Ben Hur. Remember Ben Hur when
That's right. Even Ben Hur, you got
yeah.
Strikes Back, all those like Ben Hur, Cleopatra, those films. So yeah, but it's CGI in some aspects was like, okay, this is a bit weird. It kind of with baboons or apes, what is creatures, but yeah. Anyways, so it
And,
was
and just to even say, just dealing with uh just another thing I want to talk about is Rome actually.
yeah,
The story of Rome and how that
right,
connects to modern day, because they were saying something in this film. There was an underlying message there, political message, where you have this idea that Rome is falling apart because of
hmm,
greed,
yeah,
capitalism,
yeah,
corruption, despotic leaders to a point,
hmm,
and uh, 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 you have this opportunity to try and change things, and so if I think the film was it was trying to say something about Rome and juxtapose it with modern day, right? The modern day Western world, the poverty, the homelessness.
yeah,
They again, and this is why I say it shocks me how the third act goes, because all of that just
hmm,
it all culminates with the Praetorian Guard and the Fifth Army facing each other with Paul Mescal in the middle. I'm like, what?
yeah,
Because everything ends. Everything the film is building up to abruptly ends.
it does,
And
yeah,
it really is a big shame. I think
yeah.
this could have been a movie where you were like, oh my god,
So out of 10, what do you rank out of 10? What do you rank the film out of 10?
out of 10.
Yeah, 10.
Walking out of the cinema, I gave it a 6, I think.
Okay, fair,
I gave
fair.
it a 6 because you see, okay, so yeah, well, I guess we'll do final thoughts. Look, the movie was always going to be ambitious, right? It was, and divisive to
Yeah,
fans, obviously, because some fans are just like, don't mess with my original movie.
that's right.
Uh, it makes the film made a lot of bold choices, right?
Hmm.
Bold choices. I think also the film's exploration of race using Denzel. um, makes it more relevant today. So there was an element of it where I felt, okay, this
By the way,
is
let's just piggyback. What like when you say bold choices, like what struck
yeah, but
you most?
choosing to go down the route of we're showing the
Denzel.
decline of Rome.
Okay.
We are showing we are showing casting Denzel in the film as well.
Okay.
Is a very bold choice
It
in the
is.
role that he's in.
It
It's
is.
not,
It is.
I think they still did the whole, oh, was he a slave thing
Mhm.
before? That thing was
Yeah.
also quite silly. Um, the cinematography is obviously amazing. Very innovative shots that they had throughout the movie. If you look at that battle at the beginning, some of the shots, the way the camera moved, I mean, very, very bold filmmaking.
I heard Ridley how he has like 1,000 cameras and he just films, right?
Yeah.
That's what I
So
heard. Like
you
he
don't
has
do
like
that many takes. You
yeah,
don't
he
do
has
that
like
many
a
takes.
thousand and just like everywhere filming. Yeah.
Look, at that level, you don't. I think even Nolan, I think, is like that too. They just have,
Yeah.
you know, there's a camera going at all times,
That's
every
right.
angle,
Yeah.
which is fine because a film like this is not heavy on dialogue. It's not necessary. The dialogue is not that important, but the so many bold choices were being made, and I think even with all the flaws that the movie has, it still has this essence of epic storytelling. You know, like epic. It was an epic feeling to it that wasn't wasted. I think. And if you ask me, everybody who asks me, so what do you think about the movie? Should I go watch it? I was like, absolutely, go watch it. Absolutely, it's not a film I would it's crap. Go and watch it
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
yeah, because there's something there, and again,
Yeah. Yeah. There's something there. There's something
that
there for sure.
60% of the film for me
Yeah.
is amazing.
I
It's
think yeah, I think I'm similar with you, like a 6 out of 10. I was
Mhm,
similar. A six out
mhm.
of ten. Yeah, I'm very similar to you, 6 out of 10. I thought, you know, like you said, a bit rushed, and then some of the dialogue and some of that CGI for me, certain characters like Denzel for me personally, who took me out. Um, but yeah, yeah, it's definitely where you have to go see it, especially if you're a fan of the first one. You have to
Yeah.
go see this one for sure. This is why I tell people like because on reviews they're not like when you look at Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb, the reviews are so, right? But you have to watch it, especially if you were a fan of the first one. You have no choice, in my opinion, anyways.
I thought this film was when you look at the box office numbers and
Hmm.
everything, you could see
Yeah,
that people were a little bit disappointed by it,
yeah,
right?
of course, yeah.
I think it's made. I don't know how much it's made. It's up to 500
It's
million.
made like maybe 360 million
Oh,
globally so far.
okay. And,
Yeah,
and 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 when you compare it to the original, see, like the original movie was groundbreaking, right?
yeah,
And the CGI enhancements of this one, I don't necessarily think it makes the film better.
it does
But what
not.
I remember a thought that I had as soon as I left while I was still in the cinema as the end credits were going. I was like, they've marvelized this movie. It's become a Marvel movie. Think about it.
Wow.
You watched the original. Have you gone back to watch the original since you watched this one?
The original Gladiator.
Yeah.
No, I've watched
The
scenes of
original
scenes.
Gladiator is dark and grungy, and
Yeah, it's a
it's
proper.
not pretty. It's not a
No, it's
pretty
not.
film.
It's not.
Whereas this one, the introduction of the CGI, these
Yeah,
cartoon characters that they have
yeah,
throughout. Paul Mescal, to me, he's a good actor, but they make him look like a cartoon version of
yeah,
of a person. Like he
yeah.
just cannot live up to.
No, he can't. But who can though? To Russell Crowe, who
No,
can?
no, no, no. I disagree. I think if you're trying to make him the spawn of Russell Crowe, the bastard son of Russell Crowe, it's never gonna work. But I think there are people that you could bring, and this is why I mean, like,
What do
they
you
could
mean?
have.
You mean the
There
actors
are
you could
ways they
bring
could have told this film from a different perspective,
with who?
and
With
other
Mescal
people would
or
have been
someone
convincing.
else?
No, I mean it's a bit like they're going on the hunt for James Bond right now.
Okay.
when they picked Daniel Craig, no one thought, who the hell is Daniel Craig?
Right, right.
But he
Yeah,
works now. You just
yeah,
know the whole generation of people only know Daniel Craig
yeah,
as James Bond. So what I'm trying to say is, you just don't try and build off Russell Crowe. That was the biggest mistake. Russell Crowe is a monster actor.
yeah.
He's a monster. You and I'm not saying Paul Mescal is rubbish, but Paul Mescal has his place. This isn't it.
It's not. I say he's an indie guy. He's an indie film, indie actor.
And he's not a leading man in an action
He's
film.
not. He's not. He's not that.
He's not a leading man. I think.
No, he's not.
You see, this film requires
He's not.
acting chops with a physical presence.
It's,
When he's warming up the guys before
yeah,
in the media before they're
yeah,
attacked, I'm like,
yeah. But it's what I said at the
if
start.
this guy gave me a pep talk,
Yeah,
I'll
it's
just
what I said at the start. It's what I was saying. I was saying he's a fantastic indie actor, but he's not. He doesn't have that movie star screen presence that carries the film like Crow did back. He doesn't have that. He doesn't have it. You know, he doesn't.
yeah.
He just you can't manufacture. Either you have it or you don't. You can't. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what your thoughts are, but he Mescal doesn't have that kind of screen presence of like a movie leading man, opening box office like massive film. Like nah, he doesn't have that. You know, but you know
Yeah, I
that
think
was casting, right? Who I don't know. You know,
it's casting, and you can't be. I remember 6 months ago when the trailer came out, I was like,
yeah,
it was Denzel kept people going in the trailers. That's what got people excited.
man.
But having said that, though, if you had the opportunity to make this film again,
Mm-hmm.
would you go down the storyline of Maximus, or because the film is called Gladiator, it's
Yeah,
not called. The first one is not called Maximus,
yeah,
right? And the second one is basically called Son of Maximus. That's what it
yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah.
But
Two.
if you had the opportunity to make this movie again,
Yeah.
how would you go about it?
You mean would I do like a
Would you
separate
follow
standalone
on
film?
from the story of Maximus, or
Yeah.
would you try and start in a different direction? Start from a different point of view? Because we're talking about Rome, bro. We're talking about all of Rome,
But
and Rome was pretty much all of Western Europe, parts of Asia, parts of North Africa.
yeah, but you know,
Like,
because it's really Scott and he did the first one, I understand why it had to be linked to the first one. But I
yeah,
think I agree with you. A fresh take would have been beneficial, been better.
completely. I think
Better
that's what.
because you cannot like we're discussing like sequels. They rarely succeed. Sequels.
Mhm,
They
mhm.
rarely ever succeed.
Especially with a 25-year gap, 24-year gap.
Exactly. They rarely ever. I mean, lightning in a bottle. You can't. It's hard to strike twice. It's really hard to strike twice. You know, it comes to sometimes it comes to even the timing, the
Mm,
era, different eras. You
mm.
know, I mean, there's a lot of things that can that make sequels suck, for lack of a better word, compared to the first ones. So that was always going to go against this one, right? So if I agree with you, I'd have done a fresh take, but because it was really Scott, because it was they wanted to piggyback on the first name,
Mm.
they went that way. I don't think it was success per se, but they'll make money. I'm sure by the end of the its run, it'll make probably I'm guessing 700 million, 800 million
Yeah, and I think they
global.
did. They did the same thing. They released it with Wicked, just like how they
That's
did
right, like
the
like a
Barbenheimer thing.
Barbenheimer, like
Yeah.
Barbenheimer. They did Oppenheimer and Barbie. Yeah, same,
And
same.
and Wicked was basically like the ultimate
Right,
like LGBTQ little girl me too lover film.
right.
The basically the polar opposite to Gladiator.
Yeah,
This is very masculine, that kind of thing.
yeah, yeah.
Um, and you know, the thing with Barbenheimer is
Same.
Barbenheimer. Both movies made $1 billion.
They did. Wait,
Bob,
I think Oppenheimer made it. It's made a billion now. I'm sure it's
or
crossed a
close,
billion.
even if it's 800 million. What I
No,
mean
no, I
is,
think it's like 900, like
yeah,
87 million, whatever. It's
yeah.
close.
Even
Yeah,
if it's whatever, right? Like
yeah.
there is no way Gladiator, 200 something $1 million budget, it hasn't made its money back. I don't think it will.
Wait. So Gladiator, like say 200 million for production, Then probably the same amount, like 150 for like marketing.
For marketing. Yeah,
Yeah, so that's like
so
350 for. I mean,
they need 400 million to break even.
yeah,
Maybe they might just, but it's a flop.
yeah.
It's essentially a flop.
Are you sure, man? I have a feeling it might hit like 700 million, bro. I'm telling you, I have a
Well, I
feeling.
look at it this way: U.S. market opened last weekend, last Friday, uh,
Yeah,
and U.S. I haven't seen the numbers in the U.S., but I think it it was under,
uh-huh.
um, like it came under the predictions were
Yeah,
under.
right.
Um, again, trying to get people to go to the cinema. Remember,
But I
see
think,
what
but
they
also, I
see
think
what they
also,
did. See what they did with the Joker.
yeah, but I think,
Part
oh
two.
yeah, Joker stunk it up and part two
People are
again.
walking out.
Case in point, case in point, Joker 2, right?
Yeah,
The second
yeah.
Joker,
True.
first
Yeah,
one made a
exactly.
billion. Second one
Exactly.
by Todd Phillips stunk up the place.
People today will not forgive you.
Yeah, it's stunk up
Wicked
the place.
Wicked made 400 million, close to
Yeah,
400 million. This one I don't think has, with it like a 1 week head start. So I don't think. And Wicked's audience is different. It's a theatrical audience.
it's different. It's different. It's different. But I
This is
think also you have Moana too. So you have all these films
you
competing
watch
for.
Moana. You watch Moana, like to blow both of them out the water. You
Sorry.
watch Moana 2 will blow both of them out of the
Yeah,
water.
I haven't watched it, but yeah, I'm sure it
Yeah.
will. Yeah. I'm sure
You
it
know.
will.
So
Absolutely.
so so again, I
Yeah.
think it says something that there's a desire for movies like Gladiator still in this world,
Yeah.
masculine films. By
Yeah.
the way, I'm working on my own. But
Yeah. Absolutely.
yeah, but you have to be original now. Like you can't afford anymore to like rehash an old story.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to. You're
Wait,
gonna
wait, wait,
have
wait.
to.
Are you working on a Gladiator themed film or similar
It's
action? What do you
it's
mean?
not Gladiator, but it's more. I say Braveheart meets Gladiator in
Okay.
that sense. It's a sort of revenge.
Right.
I have one that's very similar, but it's like more like Braveheart in a sense where
Okay.
it's set in Africa in 1901,
Jesus. Okay.
and it's about uh, especially essentially a small village which is coming under fire from the Catholic Church and by definition the missionaries and
Uh,
the colonial system, where they're taking land off innocent people, ancestral land, and making the men go and work in the mines. And one day, one guy who's very influential decides to fight back, and he starts a
wow.
revolution. And he goes on
Jeez.
this. So there's a big epic about sacrifice, culture, struggle. So that's what I'm working on. I'm working.
Have you where have you in the script writing so
Oh,
far?
I finished the
The
script, but
script.
I
Okay.
took it from another film that I'd written. It
Okay.
was like an excerpt of another film that I written. I
Right.
just
Okay.
turned it. So that's what I wanted to do, and because I just think the time, if there's anything that we're seeing, there is a need for movies like this. You see how when Endgame happened, Endgame was like the ultimate like. There's a reason why people were in the cinema with Endgame and like crying
Yeah.
because it was. If you think about what it represents, I mean,
Yeah.
these are popcorn movies,
Yeah.
but what they represent, there's a desire for masculinity, manhood to be seen,
Sure.
honor,
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
dignity, not
Yeah. Of
being a
course.
sellout. There's a desire for that now. So
Absolutely.
so if anything, we can learn from Gladiator that
Yeah.
that is not over. Because don't forget,
Uh,
Gladiator. After Gladiator, we saw movies like again Troy.
yep. Troy.
We saw 300, which was completely about
Oh man,
honor,
sick,
a
sick,
comic book version, but nevertheless the same
sick.
thing.
I enjoyed it, man.
You
Sick.
saw many movies come out in that short space of
Yeah.
time like
It's
that.
true.
So
It's
every
true.
20 years, it seems as though we need these films,
Yeah.
just to
No, it's
remind
true.
us who we are. So
It's true.
I'm working on my own, and I don't know who else is, but I think Hollywood could do. They would have. I think going through Gladiator with a different actor.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, you know, yeah. It was. I think Paul Mescal has been having, there's been a lot of like hype around him, a lot of raves around him, and that's why I think he got that because a lot of hype due to his like indie kind of acting and all the kind of raves he's been getting. So I think that's why he got that film, really, Paul
yeah.
Mescal. But I think really he's an indie kind of drama kind of film kind of guy, to be honest. But
Hmm.
you know,
Hmm.
it's what it is,
Well,
really.
my brother, we're gonna wrap up there.
Yeah,
It's been real. You can hear me, right?
I can. Yeah, I can.
Yep, it's been real. Thank you very much for joining. I think
Thank you.
Gladiator is an epic film worth watching. We both gave it a 6 out of 10. So I guess that means you should watch it, but don't expect to love it. Closing remarks before we leave, Lionel.
Yeah, again, it was good discussing this film. Obviously, massive, massive fan of the first one, Russell Crowe. Again, if you've watched the first one, if you're a fan of the first one, you have to watch this one. Even if you've not watched the first one, I recommend watching that one and watching this one as well. It could be like a gladiator night.
Yeah.
If you want to wear Roman attire in your house to kind of top it up, then you can go for it.
With the skirts.
Go for Roman. Go for Roman. But yeah, so yeah, just again, I was not expecting too much because I know, as we discussed, sequels rarely surpass the first ones. But I think the film, some of the action was great, But by the way, before we finish, like which actor, in your opinion, like hit it out of the park in your view? Denzel for you?
Caracalla.
Okay, Anthony Quinn, the actor, the British actor.
Yeah.
Okay, he's really good. Yeah,
absolutely, the most intriguing character to watch. Yeah. And ironically, the thing that let him down was not his performance; it's they chose to cut him out the script.
Yeah, he's a really good actor.
Even him and the brother were pretty good.
He's
Denzel
really good
was more. Denzel was more for charisma. It was the charisma. You needed his charisma. I think even just seeing his face on the screen, the way he was.
Helped. Yeah, I agree.
But, a character has to hold a movie star.
Yeah.
Or a good actor can hold this.
Yeah.
Right. There's this shot. A movie star can hold this. Denzel holds this. That's why he's a movie star. You just watch him. Because as you're watching what he's doing, it's intriguing. It's like that opening scene in Untouchables when Al Pacino is just talking. He's like, "What is it that gives me joy? It's here."
Yeah,
that's a movie star.
Yeah.
No. As long as it's here, he's great. Once you start going in here, those emotional scenes, you're just like, you're not the right one. So that young guy playing,
Anthony Quinn is a very good actor, yeah.
And then the brother, I think those are the two.
I mean, before we go to you for your ending thoughts on the film, for me, so like I said, as we discussed, that's the, and also the portrayal, like I said, of seeing some African black faces was also key, right? Because it's very easy for Hollywood not to show that. It's very easy. They can decide that we're going to put someone else there. So that was cool, having Denzel there. And other faces there, black faces, African descent over there too was good and positive. And I want to maybe go on with certain casting choices, but I think overall it's worth a watch. Go full Roman.
Ben-Hur, and but yeah, Fall of the Roman Empire. It flopped when it came out, but it's in terms of the history. It's a very good movie to watch if you want to see how this Marcus Aurelius story overlaps to.
Okay. And that was in 1964, yeah?
Yeah, around 64.
Okay. I haven't watched it. I'll give it a
look. There's this amazing scene where you have all the different armies that have united under Marcus Aurelius from Africa, from Asia, whatever, all coming in, and the might of Rome was seen in that film.
And by the way, speaking about Marcus Aurelius, I mean, people who are watching this or who will watch this, go read his book, Meditations.
Yeah, Meditations.
Meditations, and it's just a remarkable book about someone. Even you would not believe that someone could write that who lived back then in that era. So yeah, it's just.
It also shows that people ultimately in power and in powerful empires just never change. They stay have the same. We have iPhones, but that we're the same people.
Meditations.
People. Good book. Yeah.
So So I mean, how about you? As we close, what are your kind of as we close here? What are your final thoughts?
Just again, final thoughts. I think they missed the boats on this one. Fortunately, boats was at sea before they got there. So I think the movie was always going to be dead on arrival simply because of the first one. I think it's still absolutely worth the watch. There are elements of this film which I think will be clipped in the future. There will be some will be memes, some will be like motivational stuff, but ultimately the film is it will signify, unfortunately, I think for Denzel, the decline of his box office credibility, unfortunately.
But actually, this film was actually his biggest box office
Yeah,
opening.
in terms of revenue, but in terms
Yeah.
of profitability, no.
Okay.
Because his films make money. The Equalizer movies always.
Well, bro, I think this will make money though. I think it'll make money. I do.
If this movie makes 600 million, it's still a disaster. But I don't even think it will get that far.
I think it will, bro. I think we're like 700 million. I really do. Actually, maybe that's
million. It's been out for a month, bro.
You're right.
Been out for a month.
You're right.
Is it a month? Yeah. Well, what are we? December? No, not a month. It's about
no 3 weeks. 3 weeks or so.
So yeah, maybe I think this weekend it does another 100 million worldwide. I think that's the extent of it, bro. I think let me even just check where we're at with the box office quickly. I think it's like
360 or 340 or something like that. Let me check.
340 with three weekends now, right? 16th. Yeah, with three weekends, and it's three. Maybe it makes 500-600, maybe, but that's as far as it goes. I think maybe, and that's think about it. We're talking about it having 2 big weekends.
Yeah,
with all the reviews.
Yeah,
it'll be a hard sell, bro.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
500-600. I think.
Fair.
Yeah, I think if they went a different direction, you could have seen this thing do something different. But it's gonna unfortunately signify the decline of Denzel as a profitable.
But you know he's gonna be the next Black Panther. You know that.
I heard that they're writing something for him, but
Yeah.
again, I also predicted on this live Black Panther. It did okay numbers wise, but you're gonna need a Denzel to help. But you're gonna need a Denzel and someone else.
Right. Yeah.
Black Panther has to be a man. It's not gonna work. They showed what they did with the last one with Letitia Wright and Lupita trying to make this a feminized Black Panther situation. Didn't work. You're gonna need a man, and Denzel's not Black Panther. So Angela Bassett's dead. What are you gonna do? You need a Black Panther. You have to show me who that's gonna be. I don't know who it is. I don't know. I don't see many actors, certainly American actors, who I think carry that thing anymore. You know, I think, and I'm gonna make a very bold statement. It might sound quite controversial. The day of the American or African American actor being a huge star, sounds crazy, is coming to an end. Sounds crazy, but American, African American, whatever, is coming to an end. I think the world is becoming far more international. People don't want to see the same types of people because now people are looking into your background when they see a movie. Like, oh, who is this guy? Where did he grow up? They want people with complexities. And if I'm not mistaken, the Hannibal film, the guy playing Hannibal, if I'm not mistaken, is an African guy. I remember seeing his name. It's like an African name, I think from Mali or one of these kind of Senegalese names.
I mean,
and I think that is where the future lies now. I think Chadwick Boseman.
I don't know, bro. I think I don't agree with you. I think for me personally, I think it's going to decrease. I don't think it's going to disappear. It's going to decrease for sure. I think it's already decreased.
No, but that's what I'm getting at. The day of the kind of like American movie star or the British movie star is going.
I see.
I think the world wants to see different people. And that's why that RRR movie came out and was so successful. Hey, Courtney, how you doing, my sister? Yeah, go see the film this weekend. The Indian film was just so successful because people want to see different things. And so I personally believe that, Denzel's Walk in the Sun is coming to an end, unfortunately. But I think
but I think he's
going
But
And
I think he
him
said.
doing
I think he said.
him doing Hannibal, I think is a good shout. I think, but this movie had so much potential, man. So much. Like they got it almost almost right. But anyway, my brother, let's wrap up there. You have to go. I have to go. So thank you, my brother, for
All right.
coming on. We'll be back again soon with another review. Peace, peace, peace to everybody who joined in, and have a great evening.
Peace. Peace.